Hello, I'm going to have a beer with you, Bierblab. And I'll tell you what I think of this imported German beer. And what I have here is Benediktiner Weissbeer. Benediktiner, and it's a Benediktiner Abbey. It's a monastery, actually, in Germany, in southern Germany, right below Munich, between Liechtenstein and Austria. Can't believe that fly's still around here. I let that fly live. I got one fly. I said, he's the only company I got here. So that fly buzzing around here, I haven't, oh well, live and let live. Getting soft in my old age. Back to the beer. Weissbeer. Weiss is German for a number of things. The word Weiss, ich weiß, I know, Weiss, no. Weiss, the color white. And Weiss also means wheat. In this case, Weissbeer, wheat beer. But it also says underneath the can in small letters, Naturtrub. Natural trub, which means it has a yeast in it. So really, this is a Hefeweizen, but they call it Weissbeer. But Hefeweizen, Hefe means, H-E-F-E, means yeast. It means the yeast has not been filtered out of this. So, and I like that. The brewer's yeast in the beer, which they filter out everywhere. But Germany does not. They're the only ones I know where you can actually get the brewer's yeast still in the beer, which is pure vitamin B12 in its strongest form, vitamin B12. Somebody's singing of me somewhere. So this beer was for a little more than a pint in a can. This holds a little more than a pint. And 4 pints cost me about roughly $10. That's pretty, $2.50 for a can of imported beer. And you can buy this in bottles, but unless you like a skunky tasting beer, the skunkiness is where the sunlight, UV rays, oxidizes the hops content in a beer when it's traveled a long time, as one would expect coming from Europe. So I recommend getting it in a can, and unless you like skunky beer, some people do. I don't, particularly. You're going to get it more fresh in the can. So $2.50 for this. I couldn't expect to get it much cheaper than that in Europe, quite frankly. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they did. So it is very competitively priced for an authentic German Weissbier, Hefeweizen, a yeast wheat beer. And to be a wheat beer, actually for this Weissbier, I've read that upwards of 50% of the grain is wheat and the rest is barley. Not much hops in this. It's got here's the stats on this beer from their site. Okay, it says, brewed with the greatest respect for nature, Benediktiner Weissbier, Naturtrub, is made with the finest ingredients and is deliciously full-bodied. Notes of fruit and a generous cloudiness from the yeast ensure a heavenly drinking experience that nevertheless keeps your feet on the ground. This wheat beer is best enjoyed the same way it's brewed, by taking good time. Brewing method, top fermented, it's an ale. Original wort content, 12.5%. Bittering units, IBUs, 12 IBUs. Alcohol content, 5.4. And you can read the rest on this if you want. Right. Only thing left is, a little more blab. I'll blab while I'm having it. Open this up. I'm expecting it to taste sour, slightly sour, tangy because of the wheat. You don't really taste the yeast in it a whole lot. But I've stored this, if you store it, the can setting up or bottles, the yeast will sediment to the bottom of the can. So if you don't particularly want the yeast in your beer, just pour it carefully. But a lot of people like myself, particularly Germans, traditional Germans, they want the yeast because it has, it's nutritious. It's got a lot of vitamins and minerals in this, actually, that they filter out in almost all your commercial beers. Yeah, I smell, smells yeasty. Smells like yeasty beer. Kind of bready, like bread and sourness, like sourdough. It is a blonde beer. I think some of my ancestors came from that Bavaria, Switzerland area. Some of them. Just by my namesake, they were Mennonites. I'll bet you some of them drank this. Though most of my ancestors are from Britain and Scandinavia. But Northern Europe as well, and some came from Central Europe. Switzerland and Bavaria. Whatever. So they probably drank some of this. Because on their website, they say they've been making this the same way for 400 years. They claim this is the exact same recipe and the exact same ingredients that the monks were using 400 years ago. And monks still brew this beer. And they drink it. And they say in moderation. Moderation is the thing. They've got some stuff on there. Moderation. What do they consider moderation? Not getting completely skunked on the beer, wiped out, drunk. A drunken monk. Imagine that. Though this is made at the Benediktiner monastery in south of Munich. So there's the beer. It's not very cloudy, really. Maybe I shook it up a little. Somewhat cloudy. Creamy head on it. It looks good. I must have shaken it up. Oh, I like this. I like it. It's delicious, quite frankly. It's easy to drink. Kind of the mouthfeel is rather not full, like a really heavy beer would be. It's not light. It's easy, moderately light. Sour. Hold on. Rather tart, sour, tart. I'm not really tasting the yeast in it, honestly. It's fairly lively carbonated. I don't know how else to say it, but it definitely is carbonated pretty well. For the thumbnail. Okay. Well, what can I say about this? It's very good. It's easy to drink. It's inexpensive. It's refreshing. And I don't know if you're familiar with Hefeweizen style beers. They're really unique to Germany, Bavaria to be exact, and southern Germany style. And I like Hefeweizen quite a bit. hard to get it. Well, not anymore. No, I can get this in Cortland or Auburn. It's not that hard to get. So if I can get it in Central New York, you might be able to find this as well. And if you want to try something interesting, get it good and cold. Get yourself a good glass. Sit down and mellow out. See what you think of it. You might like it. You might not. It's not overpowering in flavor, but the flavors are right up there. It's creamy. It's very creamy kind of mouthfeel with this. Smooth. Flavors are tart. Some sweetness, not much. Rather tart and bready, like sourdough bread. Think of like sourdough bread, but a little bit of sweetness and very creamy to drink. So I would say sourdough bread with a little bit of confectionery sugar sprinkled on it, very little. And it goes down very, very smooth and creamy. That's good. Sehr gut. Das Bier mit das Gutes geschmeckt. I think I said that right. The beer with a good taste. Yeah, it's pretty good. I recall when I was in my 30s, I went to Germany to a town, Geilenkirchen, Germany, on the the western side of Germany, where it borders France and Holland, actually. Geilenkirchen was a small town, saw a lot of combat in World War II, but the town wasn't destroyed, and I stayed there for 2 weeks in a bar, above a bar, a really old bar, Jabusch. It's probably still there. Jabusch, Jabusch. And it had been in their family since the 1700s, and it still is in the family. I drank with Herr Jabusch, the father, and I drank with the son. He was a teenager. Hung out with them and drank at their bar, and I took a room out above the bar and really enjoyed it. And kind of went up to Dusseldorf, and then I went south to Aachen with the teenager and his girlfriend. I went with them to Aachen. That was quite an adventure on the Autobahn. Driving with that guy was a nut. He's had this really old car, and he's had the car floored. And when he was in Jabusch in the bar, in the restaurant, in the hotel where I stayed, he was like really quiet, reserved, had like a suit. He was dressed up nice, and his girlfriend seemed real nice. And they convinced me, why don't you go with us to Aachen? Because they were going, they both went to college in Aachen. And they said, we'll be going there Monday morning, and you could ride with us to Aachen, and then we'll show you around Aachen. Aachen, Aachen, which is a larger city, home of Charlemagne, the tomb. Historical city, also got badly damaged in World War II. Man. But I said, all right. So I got up and went Monday morning with them. And now this guy's a punk rocker, and so is his girlfriend. Like punk, like just completely punk with the clothes and the hair and everything. And I got in the back seat of this old car they were driving. I think it was an Opel, honestly. And we get on the Autobahn, and this guy is arguing with his girlfriend. They're screaming at each other in the front. They were having quite a fight, screaming their lungs out at each other. And I'm sitting in the back, and this guy's got this rusty old car, floored the whole way on the Autobahn. And he's got heavy metal jamming music cranking full blast in his car. And the song was Bloody Valentine. I remember that to this day. Won't you be my bloody Valentine? And he and his woman are screaming at each other the whole way up. And I'm sitting in the back, and the floorboard by my feet was pretty much missing, rusted out, and I could see the street beneath my feet. So I got to Aachen with them. They calmed down. They started acting civil again. All of a sudden, they became proper again. And they told me, well, we'll be here at, like, I don't know, 1400, and we'll pick you up and we'll go do some things. And I said, no, I'm going to catch the train back. They said, why? Just wait here. We're going to show you around. I really got some things I want to do. I'm going to take the train back, And they really tried to twist my arm to stick around for them. And no, I'm going to take the train back. I took the train back. The train went through Geilenkirchen. Back to the beer. Oh, it's good. I think for me to say, imagine sourdough bread, fairly sour, sourdough bread, really soured, with just a touch of confectionery sugar. I don't know if I'd even say that. It's got a little bit of malty sweetness to it. Nothing like confectionery sugar. So it's pretty well balanced. And it's very, very smooth going down. Very smooth. I'd say this is right up one of my top favorite beers. Oh. I'll get to the bottom of this can, then I'll show you what they do in Germany. You might already know. My brother Zach and I were going to go to Germany together this year, but he died of cancer. And that saddens me because I was so looking forward to hanging out with him again, because he'd been away to Las Vegas working for 30 years or better, and we were out of touch. And some unfortunate hardships in life came between us for a while, but my brother Zach and I, we were really, really close as children. And in our army years, to say in our 20s, he was stationed in Berlin, and I'd been to Berlin, and we had a lot of good times, he and I. He was fluent in German, and I picked up, I'm not quite fluent, but I can speak functional German anyway, and I don't think it would take me too long to be fluent in German, but I can't learn French to save myself, really. But unfortunately, we didn't get to do that, and drinking this beer reminds me that he liked this kind of stuff too, going to those little Bavarian towns and hanging out in the bars and, seeing the sights and stuff. Oh, I remember. I got a Hefeweizen story. Hefeweizen. So, I got about this much beer left in the can. Most of the yeast is in the bottom of the can. And if I'd stored this correctly, taking care not to shake it, almost all of the yeast would be in the bottom of the can or bottle, if that's what you have. And you'd be able to see it with a bottle, obviously. But the yeast, brewer's yeast, it's the strongest form of vitamin B12. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but it's a very, very viable, good source of B12, brewer's yeast. And it's living, and I said B12 isn't living, no. Sorry. Well, it's brewer's yeast. Yeah, I wonder. Brewer's yeast, it's a fungus, right? But one that's agreeable to us, not like it's toenail jam or anything like that. At any rate, the brewer's yeast is yeast like bread yeast, but Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that's the Latin for brewer's yeast. Yeah, that's as much Latin that I'm going to speak here at the moment. and it's pure vitamin B12. Which, here's the thing: if a person drinks, if a person's an alcoholic, among the other negative things that it does to your health throughout systematically, it'll deprive you of your B vitamins, and they filter the B vitamins and all the vitamins and minerals that people need if all they do is drink. They filter it out of the stuff, but the Hefeweizen, the vitamins and minerals are still in there. So this is what they do in Germany when they're at the bottom of their Hefeweizen bottle or can. They swirl it around because they want all that. That's why they're drinking this. Because a lot of older Germans believe this is like a health drink, like health food. Now, I got a little story behind that. It's not much of a story, but now look, see how cloudy that is? Very cloudy. That is very cloudy. That's all brewer's yeast. Not to be mistaken with some cloudy beers. They call them hazy IPAs. That's not yeast. That's hops that they've got and wheat. If you use a lot of wheat, that'll make a beer somewhat cloudy. But this is brewer's yeast. And Hefeweizen, again, the Hefe means yeast. Hefeweizen, ja, sehr gut. Whatever. I gotta act my age, huh? No. So I got a story about this stuff, right? I'm sitting at the bar in Jabusch, the bar in Geilenkirchen, Germany, where I was staying there for 2 weeks in a small room up above the bar. How convenient. I planned it that way. You better believe I planned it that way. That's what I used to do. And I went to England. I went to Oxford, England for a while, and I got a place that had rooms to rent above a very, very old bar, the Oxford Inn. When I went to just to drink their beer and hang out and check out the pub scene. When I went to where's that? Trier, Bitburger, Germany, and then Trier, which isn't far from Geilenkirchen, actually. I took a room out in the Hotel Mosella, which had a bar downstairs and was right next to the biggest brewery in Germany. So I'm sitting at the bar at Jabusch, and I'm about 30 years old then. And there was a guy, an old man about my age now, sitting next to me, and he had this look on his face, like a curmudgeon, I think's the name. It's like this old German man, and he looked like he might have been 70. The guy probably was a World War II vet, on the losing side, undoubtedly. But I met a lot of them, actually. I spoke with quite a few German World War II vets, which, being a lover of history, it's always interesting to talk to veterans of old wars from any side. But that's not what this encounter was about. He's sitting there, he's not saying a word, and he's drinking Hefeweizen in his big, tall glass, like this tall, really big, tall glass. And he's sitting there all by himself drinking this. The Hefeweizen. And finally he speaks to me, and I'm sitting there, and he looks over at me real slow. And he says, "Ich bin krank. Ich bin krank. I'm sick." That's what he said. Ich bin krank. And I'm like, and he actually kind of, I'm remembering what he looked like. He kind of looked like me now, honestly. I think I could do a good impression of him, because I remember looking at him and he looked like me now. He's like, "Ich bin krank." And he had this glass of Hefeweizen. That's why he was drinking the Hefeweizen. And I don't remember what he said to me, but he was telling me that the Hefeweizen was good for him. When you're sick, it's a good beer to drink when your health isn't doing well. And he was a big believer in Hefeweizen as something that would help him, I guess, just health food. But that's why he was drinking the Hefeweizen, because he was krank. K-R-N-K. Krank. Ich bin krank. I'm sick. And I'm like, all right. I didn't talk much. I'm like, all right. Whew. Didn't have AIDS or didn't have COVID back then, or I probably would have gotten away from him. This is really good. It's very smooth, very creamy to drink it. It's delightful. If you like sourdough bread, you'd like this. So if you can get your hands on Benediktiner Weissbeer, no, it's a Hefeweizen, but they say Naturtrub or Natural Trub, which is their way of saying Natural Trub, which is their way of saying the yeast is still in the beer. It's a Hefeweizen. Give it a shot. And it's only $10 for 4 big cans. And it'll give you all the B12 you could want, if that's what you need. And a lot of other vitamins and minerals in this. A lot of vitamin and minerals in this. 5.4% alcohol. And if you're on a diet, I don't think it would be probably, if you're on the Atkins diet, probably would want to stay away from drinking too much of this. I'm pretty sure it's pretty loaded up in carbs. I got a job today. I got hired. By the way, I got hired. It's a job that I have worked a few times in my life at this big old factory in the middle of Cortland. They always have work there. It's hard work. It's monotonous work. You're on your feet most of the day, and you're working your buns off physically. And even when I was in my 30s, it really sucked for about the first week. It's like, oh, any physical job, you're going to be hurting for the first week or so. But I'm wondering, but then you get used to it, and it's nothing. You could do it, but once your body gets used to it. And I'm wondering how long at my age is it going to take for me to get used to this workload. But I'm going to do my best and try to put some money together to go to Europe. They'll always hire you there. They're always looking for workers. iSpice, they make spices. They bottle and package spices for different brands, like baking, like garlic powder and what have you, vanilla beans and all kinds of spices. The place smells great. The last time I worked in that building, it was soaps and perfumes mostly. It's always something. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. And again, I really recommend this beer for a number of reasons. Hey, it's made by monks. And same recipe. They've been making that beer for 400 years there. And you get all the B12 you could want in a glass of this, and it's very well priced. It may not be your thing for beer. I don't know. It's different. So, what can I say? A German toast. They used to say zum Wohl pretty much to a full life. But they generally say Prost, which is a Latin toast. But in Germany, they say Prost. So, Prost.
Hi, Patrick. Hey, this is Jim. Yeah, but we're going over to Germany, Patrick.
Ah, okay.
We're going to try Munchen. We had a go at this morning and
Yeah.
stuffed it. So we'll have a go.
Retake, and as usual, you won't see the other draft.
Yeah,
but,
unless I get a copy of it and phone money. So,
Anyway.
alright, we'll have a go at it.
No worries.